Okay, welcome back to another vid. First one for a while. A combination of the usual, lazy, busy, but mainly the past week or so, I've had my wisdom teeth out, which was an ordeal. I mean, it went well, but yeah, getting it done at my age was ridiculous, because usually people get it done in their late teens, maybe early 20s, and I've waited like 20 years later. Absolutely insane. So, bit of a story behind that, but I'll talk about that when I do a vlog, and that may be next Friday, possibly the one after, but we'll aim for next week. And I'll just go into a little bit more detail and talk about it. So if you're curious about, yours, I imagine, more than anyone else's, teeth, maybe you've got issues, maybe it might give you a bit of a confidence boost to get it done. So, yeah, still recovering from that. I've lost 10 pounds in weight, which is normal. Apparently most people do anyway, they do lose weight. Because essentially, not just is it the trauma to the body, it's not used to having teeth removed, of course, and a little bit of blood loss, which is natural from obviously the sockets, but also I've hardly been eating, and when I have been eating, and this is common as well, it's you're basically on a bit of a diet of soft foods and liquids. That's what it is, because you can't really chew on the extraction sites, because you can create like dry socket and things and get in there. So you want to keep it obviously as clean as possible. Now I'm like a week down the line now, so the holes are still there, but they kind of seal up, which is the body's natural way of healing. So I went for a checkup yesterday, which was my kind of not weekly, I don't have to do it every week, just have to do it 1 week after I had the surgery, essentially, oral surgery. And they said, yeah, looks good, that's it. So I never have to see him again, which is good. So, but yeah, basically, so I've been eating applesauce. I'll talk about this in my vlog, like I say, but just quickly. Applesauce, yogurts, pudding, which is over here in America anyway, what they mean by pudding is it's kind of like sort of a chocolate mousse, or like a chocolate yogurt, really. Jello, in other words, jelly. Had a bit of that, a little bit of ice cream, but not too much. Drinking water and a few smoothies, and I think other than some broth, believe it or not, which I've got in here, so instead of like making soup, I'm like drinking the bloody broth. But other than that, I don't think I've eaten anything in the last week and a day or two. So yeah, that's another reason why you'd probably lose weight if you're not really eating. So, but it's good. So I did need to lose some weight because my diet is has been pretty dreadful. I mean, most of you will know if you watch my channel or have done for a while, or see me on Twitter. I'm always posting things about chocolate and different kinds of sweets and candies and all that kind of stuff. So I did need to lose some weight. I just wasn't expecting to lose the weight having teeth taken out. There we are. And it's back teeth, obviously, wisdom teeth. I did have a couple of issues with back molars as well, but it's right at the back so you can't see them. So don't be looking at the screen. You can't see them, thankfully. So, once again, I'll talk more about that, amongst other things, of course, in my vlog when I do it. We'll aim for next Friday. But I thought, instead of doing like an hour-long vlog today, I'll just do a pickups vid for maybe half the time, there or thereabouts. Plus, also, the last kind of couple of days, I've started to get a bit of a cold, coronavirus, obviously. So I'm coughing, I'm sneezing, I've got a sore throat, which really developed last night. It's kind of gone away a little, gone away a little bit, but it's still present and annoying me, I've got to be honest. So that's another reason why this broth is kind of helping. Because when you have tea sometimes on a scratchy throat, that can make it worse. So hopefully by the time I do my brew, I'll be able to have some tea. Otherwise, it's going to be the Friday broth. So, or the Friday brothel, an entirely new series of vids, which I can do, maybe not. So yeah, we'll do a pickups vid, and this is what this is. So we'll start with a game which is behind me. You might have clocked it already, and it's Ultra Core, which came out on the Sega Mega Drive, or the Genesis, or the Japanese Mega Drive for that matter. And it's one of these strictly limited games. Now, I was aware of this game when it came out around about 6 months ago. I can't quite remember, but there or thereabouts. Might have been slightly longer. And I was interested. Loads of people talked about it on YouTube. Loads of people put pictures of it on Twitter. And I thought, yeah, I really want to get that, because as you can see, or as you will see in a second, it's a run and gun game. 2D, classic kind of Amiga, Mega Drive, SNES era. And I love those systems, and I love that kind of game. So it's kind of just, it's great. It was something I initially wanted to get, well, straight away as soon as I saw it. But I ended up forgetting about it for a while. And I was just doing like a random search on eBay quite recently, and I put in like PAL Mega Drive, and this came up, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So yeah, brand new, sealed, and I think the retail, albeit on the strictly limited store, was $79.99. So $80, which is around about 70 quid. there or thereabouts. But I got mine for, I think it was 55. So, and there's other copies of this which are doing a similar price, or going for a similar price. So it's weird how they're not going for as much as they were retailing for. I can't quite work that one out. So obviously either the demand's not there, or maybe not a lot of people know about it. So I thought the price would have went up, because obviously there's hardly any of them around. I think there's 1,000, but I think it's 1,000 for the Mega Drive, and like I say, 1,000 for the NTSC, and then for the Japanese as well. I don't think it's 1,000 across all 3 regions. But yeah, anyway, it's a really good game. If you like your 2D games, your 2D run and gun, shoot 'em up of sorts games, you'll really like it. The only thing I'll say is that, for me, the controls took a little bit of getting used to. There's nothing wrong with them as such, but it's just I found when I was walking along, if you want to aim diagonally, it's not quite clunky as such. It's just a little bit different. You've kind of got to aim and take your time, and it's not quite as responsive as I was expecting, but it's not bad. And you do get used to it. It's just like a slightly different take to it. And when you want to turn round as well, it's not quite as fluid as just pressing like the back button and him turning around. I mean, he does, but you'll see what I mean if you've played it, unless it's just me. But maybe there's something slow about it. It does it in like a bit of a slow-mo way. And once you get used to it, it's fine. It's not a problem. But just initially, I was like, oh, hang on a minute. This is a bit different. But it's not a complaint. It's just something that I immediately noticed. But yeah, it's a really good game. Graphically, it looks brilliant. It's basically, for anyone who isn't aware, a game which was due to come out, I think, in 1994. It was going to be published by Psygnosis, but they pulled the plug on the game. They cancelled it. They canned it. And basically, I think the reasoning was, at that time, the PS1 wasn't far from coming out in Europe. I think it's probably already out, or was due out in Japan, maybe America by that point, late 94. And I think Psygnosis just kind of thought, that game's a little bit passé, that style of game, the run and gun, 2D graphics, everything was going kind of 3D, and maybe they just didn't want to lose money. Maybe they thought it wasn't going to take off, so they cancelled the game. And all these years later, basically, people, whoever they are, have got hold of the ROM, and they've just ended up finishing the game. So it's really good. Graphically, it looks good. Music is really good. Loads of secrets in the game. It's quite challenging, but in a good way. It makes you come back for more. It feels like, because it is really, for all intents and purposes, it feels like a 16-bit game, because this was due out, or should have been due out, on the Mega Drive and the Amiga, I think. So yeah, loads of secrets. When you get to the end of the level, it gives you like a breakdown of how many secrets you've found and how many, therefore, are still to be uncovered. And on the first level, I thought I'd meticulously kind of covered all the ground. And I think when it got to the end of the level, it told me that I think there was something like 75% of secrets that I hadn't even unlocked or discovered. And I was like, how is that possible? I thought I'd looked everywhere, but it just goes to show that there's a lot hidden away in the background. So basically you can blow up walls, and behind it there'll be energy or coins, money, extra weapons and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, a really good game. It is tricky, it is challenging, and borderline stressful in places. But yeah, it's really good, and I'm really pleased to see it get a release after all these years. As I say, it should have come out in like 93, 94 time. So because of that, even though it only came out last year, it still to me feels like a retro game, because it was made, like 99% of it was finished back in like the early to pushing mid-90s. So it's still an original game, if that makes sense. So I'm really liking it, and check it out, that's Ultracore. And as I say, you probably pay about 55, 60 quid for it, give or take. All right, next up. Now, this is a game I've been playing recently, and I absolutely love it. It's on the PlayStation 1, or just the PlayStation, as some people prefer, or PS1, call it what you will. Now, I don't think I've ever seen anyone pick this game up before, if I'm honest, on a pickup vid. I've never seen it, but I did, because I thought it looked amazing. So that game is called Swagman, made by Core Design, is it? I think it is. But either way, Core, as you can see down there. So it's basically, Swagman is like an overhead 2D with elements of 3D, of course, because it's that era, but predominantly 2D. Action-adventure puzzle game. And I love it. I think the music's brilliant, the graphics are fantastic. It's so eerie as well, but deliberately, because basically you're hiding from this guy called the Swagman. This is also, by the way, available on the Sega Saturn, and it's much more expensive. In fact, that's another thing that I'll say before I forget. On the PS1, it's really cheap. You can probably pick this up for a tenner, but on the Sega Saturn, forget it, you're paying a lot more. Now, I'm surprised because this, to me, even the cover just kind of looks rare and unusual. I know that's a weird thing to say, but it's not. It's a really cheap and common game. At least it is at the time of making this vid. So anyway, yeah, basically, there's a Swagman, and he is this kind of demon, ghosty guy, as you can tell, and he takes over, like, when everyone's asleep, he takes over the world, and everything becomes a little bit upside down. It's like the upside down world in Stranger Things. There's zombies everywhere, and monsters, and things are just kind of weird, lava and fire and flames and all that kind of stuff. Spiders knocking about. And so, yeah, when you're asleep, you kind of, he takes over. He doesn't, like, harm you or anything. I think he just, like, perpetually you're asleep in this world. So the two kids who you control in the game are called Zach and Hannah, and brother and sister. They stay awake during the night when Swagman's kind of taking over. And as a result, they don't get, they get trapped in the dream world, but because they're awake, they can obviously try and figure a way out to save the day and all that kind of stuff. So Hannah's kind of, initially at the start of the game, she's shrunk to like a little mini human and put in like a bird cage, and you escape, or you get away with it, and then you, i.e. Zach, it's your job to free Hannah, which you do quite early on, and then try and complete the game, which I've yet to do. But I'll come to that in a bit. So yeah, it's a really good game. There's basically a lot of puzzles in the game, and at times you need to switch between characters, and you can do that, I think, by holding the L1, or is it the L2, or maybe both. Hold it down for a few seconds, and these kind of like a whirlpool motion goes around the character, and then you can switch to the other character wherever they are on the map, and you can bring them together, or they can go off and do their thing. Sometimes, for example, one of the characters will need to jump across some, like a rooftop or something, but they can't do that because there's like a lever in. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. My father-in-law was checking up on me to see how I'm doing. So I saw his car pulling up, and I was like, is that who I think it was? And it was. So, but yeah, just asking how, because my birthday's soon as well, and he was like, well, we're going to have to go out for somewhere to eat. And I'm like, well, great, yeah, we can go out, of course, but I can't really eat anything right now. It's a bit ridiculous. So we might have to delay that for a week or two. Anyway, so I can't remember what I was saying. Something about Swagman. Was it about the controls? Yeah, sometimes you can switch between the characters. In fact, it's a large part of the game. It's a really prevalent part of it. So, yeah, for example, you may need to jump over a building, but you can't. So what you'll need to do is to essentially summon the other character, bring them to where you are, jump on their head, if you can find like a ledge to jump on in the first place, and then jump over the wall, and then switch back to the other character if you need to. So it's kind of complex at times. You really have to think. Some of the puzzles are really difficult, really difficult. I mean, I was looking at it thinking, how the hell do you do this? Now, on the loading screen, it'll sometimes, usually actually, it gives you very subtle kind of hints, which ordinarily you'd kind of look at it, or you'd read it, you'd look at the picture, and you wouldn't really think anything. You'd just think it's a loading screen. But if you analyse the wording or analyse the picture, there are sometimes clues there if you get stuck. It's clever how they've done it. So, yeah, it's really, really immersive. The music is fantastic. Suits the game brilliantly well. The graphics are really good as well. It's just a good game. Now, I'd say, like I said before, it is, or did I say? I can't remember, but it is challenging. It really is. But a lot of the deaths in the game are quite cheap, because it could be like falling off a ledge, or falling down somewhere, or repetitively making the same mistake. Not necessarily through your fault, but more the timing of the jumps, which I guess maybe is your fault, I suppose, isn't it, really? So that's kind of annoying. But you get an unlimited amount of lives. You just basically press continue every time, so that's good. And also, to be fair, even though it is a hard game, and it is very challenging, there are regular kind of intervals where you can save your game. Like, you can open up like a treasure chest, and like the scarab will come out, and it'll basically say, oh, this is kind of a very kind of scary place, do you want to save your progress? So yes, you do, basically pretty much every time. So yeah, you've got to rescue, the main part of the game, you've got to rescue these Dreamflight, which are kind of like sort of fairies, essentially. And I think I've rescued a few so far. I think there's 12. Might be a bit more, I'm not sure, but I think there's 12. So I've rescued maybe 3, 4, 5, whatever it is. And basically, I don't know how many there are. I'm presuming there's maybe one end of level boss for every Dreamflight, or fairy. I'm not quite sure. But so far it's been that way anyway. And I'll say that the first boss that I stumbled upon, the end of level boss, the very first one, was really hard. It's basically this like giant pumpkin, and they've got these arms that come out, and if they grab you, you can't get out of it. It literally can't get out of it. It sucks all your energy away, and which can be really frustrating. So it took about 50 attempts. I'm not even joking, 50 attempts to do it. But then when I did, and even then, when you think you've killed him, he kind of, in a way, sort of comes back to life with all these like mini pumpkins that come flying out. So that annoyed me. I wasn't expecting that the first time. So that was really, really hard. The second boss was basically, I think you've got to throw these bombs onto a platform and essentially kind of blow him up. That was really easy. I did that on my second attempt, and it would have been on my first attempt if I hadn't have, again, fallen down a hole through my own fault, really. If I hadn't have done that, I'd have done it on the first go. So it's weird how that works, isn't it? The first boss, rock hard. Second boss, really easy. Third boss, I think, was relatively straightforward as well. So, yeah, what else can I say about the game? I just really like it, but it is very difficult. Now, I did read watch a couple of reviews on YouTube. One guy was absolutely scathing about this game, but he did it in one of those very sort of ranty style vids. But what I noticed is that he didn't really know what the plot was for the game. He said it didn't make sense, and he was questioning everything as the game was kind of progressing. And now, if he's got the game and he looked at the instruction book, it tells you the story. So I think he's probably playing it on an emulation, to be honest. Which is fine, obviously, but if you're going to criticise the game, at least do your research first. So everything he was criticising the game for is explained in the instruction book, in fact, and on the back of the box for that matter as well. So there was that. So wasn't a great review. And on top of that, in that review, I think he only showed footage from like the first sort of 20 minutes of the game. And during the review, he was complaining how difficult it was, which it is. But you could tell that obviously what had happened is he put the game on, expecting it to be sort of like a platform game, which there are platform elements, and maybe he just was expected to be more of a platformer rather than a thinking kind of adventure game. Obviously he didn't get very far because he only had 20 minutes of footage on his video, so that wasn't a great review, so I disagreed with him. And then there was another guy who reviewed the game, and I pretty much agreed with everything he said, apart from, although I can see why he said it, apart from the fact that he said that he thinks this game is aimed towards kids. Now, I can understand why he said that, because it's bright and colourful, the graphics, you ultimately control a brother and a sister, so I understand that. But because the game is so hard, as I've touched upon, and so challenging, and you really have to think about some of the puzzles, moving things around, and yeah, you have to be one step ahead of the game, and a lot of backtracking as well. Because of that, I'd say it's not really aimed at kids, because when this game came out, I can't quite see the year, 97, see, I was right at the end of my teens in this era, and so, if he means by kids, maybe like late teens and stuff, then yeah, maybe. If he means really young, like 9, 10, 11, I don't think so. I think it'll be too taxing for someone that age. So anyway, enough of that, check the game out, Swagman. I don't think I've ever seen anyone pick it up in the YouTube community that, we tend to circulate in. But it's brilliant, I really, really like it. I'm absolutely loving it, and buy it, it's good. And it's cheap as well. Now, speaking of cheap, I picked this up quite recently. I've got to laugh because I put this on last night, actually. I've had it for a while, but I put it on last night because I was kind of in the mood to play it. And I watched it, interacted, if you like, with the tutorial. And then I just thought, you know what, I was probably about 10% of the way through the tutorial. I thought, I'm not in the mood to play this game right now. It's one that you can't put on for 5 or 10 minutes. You've got to plough like an hour or two in one go every time you want to put this game on. And it's Kessen on the PlayStation 2. So it's basically like an RPG strategy game, but there are arcade elements in it, which is what appealed to me, like the fighting elements to it. So yeah, you've got to start the game, and it tells you the tutorial. It was just too in depth, like moving armies around and different segments of them around the map, and what all these little icons mean. And especially after the whole wisdom tooth gate, and now getting a bit of a flu, especially with that, I've just not been in the kind of mood where I have to really think, which is rich because obviously I've been playing Swagman, but something like this is different. You've got to really sit down and think about what you're doing and plan ahead. It's very meticulous, so yeah, I'm not in the mood to play this kind of game right now. But it does look interesting, and it was only $3, so really pleased to get it. It's an old game, it came out 20 years ago, so probably one of the launch games, or close to it, of the PlayStation 2. I did actually have it back in the day, but I can't remember anything about it. Probably got bored of it back then as well, to be honest. I might have put it on, got to the tutorial and thought, I'll come back to this later, and then never did. So I'm just going to have a quick swig. So, There's only 3 left, and then a little bit of a sort of a peripheral thing, which I'll show at the end. So yeah, this one's on the SNES. It needs cleaned up a little bit, the box, but that's fine. It only arrived a couple of days ago. And it's called Super Strike Gunner. I like the sort of dark purple box, it looks pretty cool. Similarly to the Ghouls and Ghosts box, same kind of colour. And what's the other one? There's another one, I can't quite remember. Mine's gone blank. Anyway, yeah, it's basically a shoot 'em up. If you can see from the back, I'll put some screenshots. In fact, I would have done already on the vid that you would have seen. So the only thing I'll say about this game is that I do like it. It is good-ish, but it's just a little bit boring. It's a little bit dull. There's like literally 5, 6, 7 seconds at a time can go by where you're kind of scrolling up the screen waiting for the enemies to come down or to come in from the sides. But you're waiting for them, so nothing's happening and the music's going along and it's the same track all the time, so that can get a bit repetitive. And then when they do come down, they're in the same formation, so you get used to it, you memorise the patterns. But yeah, 5, 6, 7, 10 seconds can go by and nothing's coming by and you're just literally just waiting, like holding down the auto fire, just shooting nothing. And so that's a bit dull. There's a lot of weapons in the game, I'll give it that. You can choose different kind of weapons at the start of the game, or every time you like start a new continue, or get to a new level, so that's good. Yeah, so I can't fault them for that. But yeah, just a little bit uninspiring, a little bit dull, a little bit boring, not a lot going on. The second level, it starts to pick up a little bit in terms of difficulty, but not massively challenging. But I'll be honest, I'd never really heard of this game before, which is kind of unusual because I'm massively fond of this era of the early 90s with the SNES, the Mega Drive, 16-bit gaming, Amiga, ST, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I hadn't been aware of this up until recently, so pleased to get it. It was only $20, so not expensive. That's about sort of 15 quid, and it's the PAL version as well, as you can see. So yeah, decent game, relatively bright and colourful, not amazing graphics, it does the job. It's an early SNES game, I think it came out in '92, which is the year the SNES came out in the UK, so April I think, wasn't it? So yeah, decent, just a little bit bland, that's what I'll say. Okay, moving on to a modern game, and this is a game that I think came out around about, I've just opened it up, I'm wondering where the disc was, but it's still in the PS4. So yeah, it came out probably, October time, give or take, and back in the day, I used to play a lot of this franchise, and that is Call of Duty. It's Modern Warfare. So yeah, back in the day, on my YouTube channel, we're going back, last generation really, 360 PS3, I was massively into Call of Duty. Most people were, to be fair. I used to take it online quite a lot. But really, around about 2013, 2014, I just stopped doing it really. Every now and again, out of curiosity, I might have done it. But yeah, the last few years, I've just not been interested, if I'm honest. But I am interested in the campaigns, I'll give it that. And I really wanted to play this because I'm a massive fan of the Modern Warfare games. Much prefer them to Black Ops. So yeah, I was really looking forward to playing this. And I think I'd heard a lot of people say it's like a reboot or a reimagining of the first Modern Warfare from back in like 2007 on the 360 and PS3. But it might well be, I don't know, I've not done my research, but I'm not really sure if it's that or if it's more of like a prequel which takes place obviously before the main events of Modern Warfare. I think it might be more to do with that, to be honest, than like a reboot of that game. But either way, it's really good. Yeah, graphically it's nice, plays well like I'd expect from a modern game. There's a few kind of shock moments in the game as well, but nothing outrageous. Before the game came out, I'd heard a lot of things, how this game's got to be really controversial. And I've got to be honest, I didn't really see it. In my opinion, anyway. There's a couple of things which, yeah, a little bit, but not to the point of like it would make national headlines or anything. So I was a little bit disappointed in that. I was expecting it to be a little bit more kind of shock factor than what it was. But yeah, but other than that, thought it was good, finished it. Oh, that's what I'll say. It's easy. It's a really easy game already, and it only took me like 36 hours, if that. Platinum trophy. Every trophy you can get for the game, I've got it. So, and I didn't really go out my way to do it. What happened is I started the game, like back in the day, I used to always play the Call of Duties on Veteran. And I think almost every Call of Duty, or at least the campaigns that I've played, I've got the Veteran trophy for all of them. And there's a couple of them that I've kind of platinumed as well, or got all the achievements for. So I think the only one that I haven't done, that I've started campaign-wise, would be World at War on the 360 or PS3. That is rock hard. That is really hard. Because it gets to, I think, like maybe one of the latter levels especially, and it's just like a spawn of grenades. It's really, really difficult. I'll do it one day. But yeah, so anyway, you get to my age, and I thought, I can't be bothered. This isn't like 2013 anymore. Not even so much 2013. 2007 anymore, back when I used to play the original Modern Warfare, or 2008, whenever it was. So you get a bit older, you don't want to get stressed out as much, you want to be much more of a casual player, take it easy, enjoy it at a casual pace, at least I do anyway. So I basically just set the difficulty down, and I think I put it down to, I can't remember what it was, there's like maybe 4 different settings, and I put it on like normal or something like that. But what I found, like 2 or 3 missions in, is that it was just so easy that it was just insulting. It was just insulting. I thought, I'm gonna up the difficulty level, and then I thought, well, actually, seeing as it's so easy on like normal, let's just put it out of curiosity on veteran and see if I've still got the old skills. And obviously, clearly, I do, because I finished it on veteran, got all the trophies, platinumed, as I said. But I didn't think it was a challenge. There's a couple of episodes or chapters, if you like, here and there that I thought were fairly challenging that I had to do again. Obviously, you'd expect that. You're very rarely going to get a game and blitz it all in one, straight attempt. But other than just literally a handful of attempts here and there, I finished the game and I found it to be really easy. On veteran, really easy. It holds your hand. There's a lot of checkpoints everywhere. And yeah, I like it. It's a good story. It's a good game. Glad I didn't pay $60 for it. I think I ended up paying like about 15 or something. So yeah, it's good. What more can I say? The other thing I'll say before I forget, I talked about like graphic detail before, or shock factor. The one thing which I've just remembered actually is, I can't remember what level it was. It was quite early on into the game, and I shot one of the enemies from a distance, and it was a sniper, and I knew I'd hit them because all of a sudden they're kind of the glow off the tint off their light, the reflection off their scope disappeared. And sorry, I don't believe it. The door's about to go again. Can you hear it? Hang on. There you go. It's the postman. Back in a second. All right, we're back. Unbelievable. Disrupted twice. Can you believe it? So yeah, I was talking about the bit where there's a sniper on one of the early levels, and the reflection off his scope, you could see it kind of shining. So I knew he was still there. And then I took a bit of a random shot. It wasn't even with a sniper rifle. It was with like an MP5 or something from distance. And I killed him. And I knew I'd killed him because, like I said, the scope kind of glare had disappeared. So all the other enemies had gone. So I made my way kind of gingerly to that spot, walked up some steps, and I could see his body lying there because from where I'd shot him. And I'd noticed that it looked like I'd taken his eye out. What a shot with an MP5 from like 25 miles away. It's unbelievable. And I thought, oh God, that looks a bit gruesome, a bit graphic. I thought, surely I didn't shoot him in the eye from all the way over there. And I had this idea. I thought, well, why don't I test it by shooting his dead body and seeing if there's any bullet damage? Right? It's a bit kind of, graphic. But I did it. Just with one shot, I shot him in like the leg, and there was like a bullet hole, a bullet wound, like the bloodied leg. And I thought, that is so attention to detail. And then there was a guy next to him a little bit further on, which I'd also shot a little bit earlier. And so I shot him in like the chest or the arm. It makes me sound like a maniac, doesn't it? Even though he was already dead. And again, like you could see like the impact of the bullet hole. So maybe I must have shot that sniper in the eye with an MP5 from bloody 200 miles away, like I say. 200 miles. Did I say 20 a minute ago? It's gone up. As the years go by, that story will get more and more. It was 10 billion miles away. So yeah, I just thought it was really clever how they put that sort of detail into the game. And if you like your graphic kind of stuff, you might get a kick out of that. So, but yeah, as I say, good game. It's what you'd expect. It's a Call of Duty modern game, and that's that. Oh, speaking of PlayStation 4, I can't show it because it's a digital game, and I know a lot of you don't like your digital stuff, but it's never really bothered me, to be honest. With modern games, I where possible, I will go physical, but I certainly am not opposed to digital games if the price is right. But the reason why I went digital on this game, and it's Grid, the Ultimate Edition, is because the Ultimate Edition physical version, on release anyway, even still now, is around about sort of 80, or I think it was $80 on launch. You can still get it now, obviously, of course you can, it's a physical game, but it's around about $60. And they basically, the Ultimate Edition comes with like the DLC in advance, because I think it's free DLC for everyone, but I think you get it early, like a month or two early, something like that if you get the Ultimate Edition. There might be one or two other perks as well, So I really wanted this one, this version. And I noticed on the PlayStation Network it was for sale for just over $20. And I thought, well, I do want to get the physical version, but $60, which is what it was kind of going for secondhand, or even brand new for that matter, $60 or $20. I thought, I don't want it that much, where I want to pay like $40 more. So I just ended up downloading it. And it's a really good game. If you like Grid from back in the 360 days and the PS3, it's basically like the first one, but Race Driver Grid, I think it was called in the UK. Or was it the States? It was Grid in one of them and then Race Driver Grid in the other one. I can't remember which way it went. But yeah, it's basically like a reimagining of that. It's a good game. I do like it, and maybe I'll talk about it more in a future vid. Possibly a vlog, either my next one or a future one. Because even though I've been playing it for a few hours, what more can I say, I guess, really? It's just a driving game, isn't it? But maybe I'll talk a little bit more about it. But I am liking it. I just wanted to mention that. But I can't show it because it's a digital game. And then last but not least, before we get to the peripherals of sorts, we've got a big box game, and this one's on the Atari ST. Big fan, obviously, of the ST and the Amiga. I used to have this back in the day on the ST, so I was pleased to get it again for the Atari, and it's Midwinter. So it's basically a strategy game. If you've got an Amiga or an ST, then obviously back in the day these kind of games were very prevalent, and yeah, 3D polygon games. So what I'll say with the ST one, I didn't just get it because it's more nostalgic on the ST, even though the box is obviously just the same. ST boxes and Amiga boxes, you can't tell a difference other than like a sticker at the top corner there, or sometimes it would be imprinted on the cardboard or wherever. This one's kind of like a slipcase or a sleeve, whatever. But yeah, the reason why I got it for the Atari ST is not just because of nostalgia. It's because these kind of games, like the 3D polygon games, they generally speaking are better on the Atari ST. And the reason why is because the ST has a faster processor than the Amiga. So when it comes to shifting all these polygons around at a fast, smooth pace or rate, then the ST does it slightly better. There's not much in it, but obviously when it comes to the usual stuff, the usual kind of 2D games and the sprites for your average Amiga or ST game, yeah, the Amiga's got has the better end of the stick. Of course it does. We all know that. But it's a really good game. Basically, it looks exactly the same and almost sounds exactly the same on the ST as it does on the Amiga. So it's really good. Actually, it's really atmospheric as well. I remember it from back in the day, kind of skiing around places, and you very much do get a sense, well, I do anyway, it could just be nostalgia, but very much get a sense of like the coldness of going around on these snow-capped mountains. I just really like it. It's a really good game. Quite, I suppose, in this day and age in 2020, somewhat limited, but for back in the day, for a 1989 release, I think it still holds up really well, to be honest. And it's in great condition as well, and I just love the colour. Even that just looks kind of like an ice blue kind of colour. It just looks really striking. And I love that noise as well, with the discs kind of moving around. And a really kind of thick instruction manual too. And then last but not least, I have got, and I'll put a picture of these at the end, if you really need to see them or want to see them, like I usually do, for music and all that kind of stuff. But I've picked up 5 PlayStation 1 memory cards. I needed these because there's so many games that I've been wanting to play recently. Diablo, for example, on the PS1. But I didn't want to start it because it's such an in-depth game. You can't put it on for 20 minutes. You've got to put it on and you've got to save your progress. And then months, years later, then you finally finish it. It's that kind of game, isn't it? Very engrossing and involving. So yeah, I just run out of space basically on my PS1 memory card, and I needed more. Now, generally speaking, and these are all official as well, official memory cards, a few different colours, but official nonetheless. Generally speaking, in America anyway, you're looking at around about $8 to $10 per memory card. But I looked on eBay at some recently or newly listed items, and someone was selling all 5 in a bundle for $15 or best offer with free postage. And I thought, well, that's a really good price, $15 for 5 memory cards. But because there was a best offer there, I took advantage and I offered $10, and she accepted, which is brilliant. So yeah, so for $10 I've got 5 official PS1 memory cards, which means that I can really play loads of games that I'd been putting off playing for ages. Because, yeah, alright, there are some PS1 games that have sort of a password system. Nightmare Creatures is one, for example, which I was playing just before or maybe just after Christmas. and which is good because I'd ran out of space on my memory card, as I say, hence getting these, and so I couldn't save it, but I could because they have the password system on the game. So, but not all games do that. So now that I've got all these cards, I'm starting to play a lot of the PS1 games that I've got, and yeah, I've actually got quite a few PS1 games on the way. So when they arrive, that'll probably be well, let's just aim maybe to do another pickup vid at the end of the month, there or thereabouts. I'll do the vlog next week or possibly the week after. I keep threatening to do music vids. If you're into music, give it a watch. If you're not, it's not for you, just for people who like music. I used to do them all the time, so if you want to see what my typical music video's got to look like, just click on my channel, there's a music playlist. Yeah, but it's just been a long time since I've done one of those, so I do need to start getting back into those in the near future, which I will. So, yeah, there we are. We've got those games, and obviously, like I say, probably all going to come flying down now, the PS1 memory cards. So, there we go. I knew it would happen, almost. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks to everyone who's uploaded vids as well over the course of the last couple of weeks, because what I did just before I had my wisdom teeth out, which I'll talk about next week, it's kind of funny in a way, some of the things that happened, but yeah, what I did is I created a playlist. So for most of the videos that are in my subscription feed, or at least the ones that looked like it'd be something that I'd want to watch, I added them to a playlist. And essentially, when I got back, I was kind of zonked out, you know, still a little bit high off my face a little bit, really. So I wasn't really in the mood to do too much talking or too much eating or anything, and not really commenting either. I just couldn't really do it. I was just tired. I was really exhausted after doing that because, you know, you're knocked out. You've got the anesthesia. So yeah, it was nice just to come back and to watch, you know, some of your vids, and I had them all on like an autoplay, like on a loop. So one would finish and the other would start, and so on and so forth. So I watched hours upon hours of footage of your vids. So apologies if I didn't comment, and maybe I usually would, or I have done quite regularly in the past, or at least semi-regularly. I haven't been ignoring you. I'm not rude. I've not unsubscribed or anything like that. I just didn't really comment. I think there's only 2 that I commented on, but the majority of them I just kind of watched them, appreciated them, and watch the next, and I might go back and comment, or I might not. We'll see. You know, I'm sure you don't care. But maybe going forward, I'll start to get back into the whole kind of commenting where I can. We can't watch everything, obviously, and some people have got nothing to say. It's like you might be watching this right now, and you're not going to type anything because you maybe can't be bothered, or maybe you just don't want to. Maybe you've got nothing to say. It's totally fine. It's totally fine. It takes time, and of course, if you're watching on a telly sometimes, as I do with YouTube, there might not be a comment section. So is it really worth watching a video on there and then logging out into a computer just to leave a comment? No, not really. So I understand when people don't want to leave comments. So it's never a problem. As long as people like watching it regularly or every once in a blue moon, then that's fine. Got right to the end of the bloody vid and I have to have a cough, don't I? So have some nice broth, which is freezing now. So yeah, I'm sure there's something else that I wanted to say, but whatever. Until my next vid, thank you for watching, and yeah, see you soon. Take it easy. Speak to you soon.
Won't you wait for me? I need you to stay. right there. I'm coming right